The stage is set, the lights are low, and the beat drops. But something feels off in the world of hip-hop tonight. Playboi Carti, once hailed as a revolutionary voice of a generation, is now under fire. Whispers echo through the streets of Atlanta, missed deadlines, chaotic studio sessions, and collaborations gone wrong. Fans are divided, critics are ruthless, and the question burning everyone's lips is simple. Is Carti a misunderstood genius, or the biggest disaster to ever hit music? Enter Cairo, a shadowy new artist from the underground. He doesn't just watch from the sidelines, he sees the cracks no one else dares to expose. Grainy footage surfaces online, studio chaos, unreleased tracks, and moments of creative meltdown. Cairo's video hints at a deeper story, one the mainstream once buried. And suddenly, the internet erupts. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone is taking sides. In this battle of fame, talent, and betrayal, Carti's legacy hangs by a thread. Every fan, every critic, every insider has a secret to reveal. The stage is no longer just a place for music, it's a courtroom. And Carti is on trial. So, who is Playboi Carti really? The visionary who changed the game forever? Or the artist whose chaos destroyed it all? The answer isn't simple, and the truth might shock you. The world of hip-hop was never quiet. But lately, something felt different. A storm was brewing over Atlanta, over studios, over stages where Playboi Carti once reigned supreme. Once celebrated as a revolutionary voice, the artist who dropped mosh pit anthems and avant-garde flows was suddenly under attack. Whispers were spreading, delayed albums, cancelled features, erratic behavior in the studio. Fans were confused, critics were ruthless. And in the shadows, one new figure was watching everything unfold: Cairo, an enigmatic artist from the underground who had eyes everywhere. Cairo wasn't famous, not yet. But he had influence. He had access. He had the recordings, the leaks, the footage that no one wanted the public to see. And as he pieced together the story of Carti's latest chaos, he realized something. This wasn't just about an album. This was about an entire era of hip-hop being manipulated, repurposed, and controlled by a system that rewarded chaos over creativity. It started with the studio sessions. Carti's team had promised fans that his next project would drop before the year ends, but then, things went dark. Weeks passed. Social media went silent. Rumors swirled. Some insiders claimed Carti was working tirelessly, perfecting his sound. Others whispered about missed deadlines and destroyed beats. Cairo, however, had the raw footage, moments of Carti pacing the studio, throwing headphones, arguing with producers, and rewriting lyrics in bursts of frustration. The leak was subtle at first. A single 30-second clip appeared online, grainy and distorted, showing Carti in a studio surrounded by empty energy drink cans and scattered notebooks. Fans speculated. Everyone had theories. But Cairo knew what was really happening. The clip wasn't just chaos, it was a glimpse into an artist trapped between genius and disaster, between vision and control. Cairo decided to act. He released a thread on X detailing every known studio incident, every collaboration that had gone wrong, and every track mysteriously delayed or lost. The internet erupted. Playboi Carti fans defended him, calling it jealousy. Critics seized it, framing Carti as unreliable, unprofessional, and incapable of delivering. But Cairo wasn't here to pick sides. He was here to tell the truth, or at least what he saw as the truth. Then came the footage of Carti with Nova, a rising producer who had recently signed with one of the top labels. Nova, calm and precise, had been documenting the sessions from the start. In the clips, Carti seemed erratic, pacing, shouting, sometimes rapping lyrics that didn't exist in any released track. But there were moments of brilliance too, sudden bursts of creativity where he would nail a verse in a single take, leaving everyone in awe. Cairo knew that balance was what made Carti iconic. Genius intertwined with chaos. Fans debated every frame. Was Carti's behavior intentional performance art, or was it a meltdown? The drama wasn't just online, it spilled into real life. Concerts were postponed, social media rants became frequent, and journalists began publishing speculative reports. Carti's name dominated headlines, trending hashtags, and viral videos. Everywhere, people argued, was he ruining his own legacy or reshaping it? Meanwhile, Cairo started reaching out to other insiders. Anonymous texts, secret messages, and encrypted files revealed that certain labels had intentionally manipulated tracks, pushing Carti's style in directions he didn't approve. Early demos showed innovation, raw emotion, and unconventional flows. By the time they hit public release, the sound was sanitized, packaged, and commercialized. Carti wasn't just struggling with deadlines, he was battling control over his own art. The tension reached its peak when a mysterious file appeared online. Titled Carti Unreleased Bangers 2025. Zip. Fans swarmed forums and Discord channels to analyze it. Cairo's leaks hinted that some of the tracks were fully ready months before the label released their versions. It wasn't theft in the traditional sense, it was erasure, replacement, and rewriting. The revelation caused a frenzy. Fan theories, debates, and viral reaction videos flooded every platform. Carti's reputation teetered between admiration and ridicule. Amid the chaos, Carti remained enigmatic. He posted cryptic messages on X emojis, one-word captions, and obscure references to earlier works. The ambiguity fueled the fire. Some saw a genius too complex for the mainstream to understand. Others saw a self-destructive artist spiraling out of control. And throughout it all, Cairo quietly collected every piece of evidence, every clip, every insider testimony. His mission was clear: expose the system, reveal the truth, and let the world decide Carti's legacy. But the real twist: Cairo discovered a hidden collaborator in all this chaos. Lyra, a former assistant to one of Carti's producers. Lyra had been quietly recording studio sessions for months, documenting not just Carti's work, but the manipulations happening behind the scenes. Her notes revealed pressure from labels, threats to postpone projects, and the deliberate promotion of tracks with commercial appeal over creative integrity. Carti wasn't failing, he was being boxed in, forced to compromise his genius. Cairo and Lyra decided to merge their evidence. Clips, screenshots, and leaked audio formed a narrative: Carti's genius versus industry control. Fans would see the unreleased brilliance alongside the released chaos. Critics could no longer claim ignorance. And Carti? He remained unaware of the storm about to hit his legacy. The world knew one thing: Playboi Carti wasn't just an artist, he was a battleground. Between innovation and destruction, loyalty and betrayal, genius and disaster. And someone was ready to expose it all. The question now lingered: would Carti reclaim control over his sound, or would the industry crush him under the weight of its own manipulation? The stage was set. The players were in position. And the first act of this drama was only the beginning. The storm had begun, but the real chaos was only just starting. Part 1 had exposed the cracks, Carti's unreleased tracks, the studio turmoil, and the manipulations from the labels. Fans were talking, critics were debating, but the industry itself was starting to feel the heat. And at the center of it all was Cairo, the shadowy underground figure who had orchestrated the first wave of leaks. Carti remained a mystery. He posted cryptic tweets, deleted entire threads, and let the chaos swirl around him like smoke. But the world wanted answers, and they were not getting them fast enough. Then came the bombshell. Lyra, the insider assistant working with Cairo, released a compilation video on a secure channel. Grainy, cinematic, and perfectly edited, it showed Carti's brilliance in stark contrast to the sanitized, commercialized versions of his tracks. Unreleased verses, raw ad-libs, and unconventional flows, moments that proved why Carti had earned his cult status in the first place. The internet exploded. Reaction videos popped up across every platform. Twitter threads dissected every second of footage. Fans rallied behind hashtags like #FreeCartiArt and #Genius versus Disaster. The debate went global. Was Carti a misunderstood genius, or had he truly become a mess of contradictions? But the labels weren't silent. They called in their PR teams, social media managers, and industry lawyers. Spin articles appeared, framing the leaks as a targeted smear campaign. Executives claimed that Carti had been difficult to work with, that Cairo's leaks were exaggerated, and that fans were seeing one side of the story. Cairo watched the fallout quietly, his expression unreadable. He knew the narrative needed escalation, so he reached out to another insider, Maya, Carti's former sound engineer, who had recorded private sessions that no one else had ever heard. Maya agreed to go public under strict anonymity. The files she provided revealed even more chaos. Tracks were written without consent, production notes ignored, and moments where Carti had been forced to perform in ways that stripped his music of its soul. Cairo compiled everything into a new, explosive video series. The first episode dropped at midnight. The footage opened with Carti pacing in the studio, headphones askew, muttering lyrics into the void. The narration overlaid a chilling question: was this genius or self-destruction? Then came the contrast, the released tracks that had made it to streaming platforms, polished, commercial, and almost unrecognizable. Fans were stunned. YouTubers dissected the video frame by frame. Critics scrambled to respond. Articles labeled it a music scandal of unprecedented scale. Carti's name dominated headlines for weeks. Even mainstream artists chimed in on social media, some defending him, others questioning the integrity of his work. And then, the unexpected twist, Carti himself responded. Not through interviews, not through press releases, but in a live stream, eerie, raw, and enigmatic. His room was dimly lit, walls plastered with handwritten lyrics. He didn't apologize. He didn't explain. He stared into the camera, letting silence linger before speaking. I make music for myself, and the ones who feel it. Everything else? Noise. The cryptic statement fueled the debate even further. Fans interpreted it as defiance, arrogance, or genius. Critics called it evasive. But one thing was clear. Carti had reclaimed control over the narrative, if only partially. Meanwhile, Cairo and Lyra were already planning the next move. They knew that showing the contrast between raw talent and commercial compromise was only the beginning. They had compiled unreleased collaborations, studio arguments, and even unfinished tracks where Carti experimented with sounds no one had heard before. The next leak would push the story into mainstream consciousness and force the industry to react. The tension reached another level when Nova, the rising producer who had been working closely with Carti, spoke out anonymously. He revealed that some executives intentionally delayed projects to capitalize on Carti's chaotic public persona. It wasn't just about music, he said in an encrypted message. It was about control, hype, and profit. Carti's creativity didn't fit the mold, so they tried to break him. This revelation changed everything. Now the debate wasn't just about Carti's behavior, it was about the industry itself. Fans realized that the artist wasn't failing, he was being sabotaged. Social media exploded with the hashtag #CRTNOTBroken trending globally. Influencers and journalists alike started framing the story as a systemic problem, genius versus commerce. Then came the backlash. The labels hit back hard, calling the leaks illegal, defamatory, and misleading. Lawyers sent cease and desist letters to Cairo, Lyra, and even independent media outlets covering the story. But the effort backfired. Fans rallied even harder, supporting the leakers as champions of truth. The narrative had shifted. Carti was no longer the target of criticism. He had become the symbol of artistic struggle in a system built for conformity. In the midst of all this, Cairo discovered another shocking secret. A hidden collaboration that Carti had recorded months ago with a mysterious artist known only as Echo. The tracks were experimental, chaotic, and unlike anything the public had ever heard. Carti had poured his raw emotions into every verse, creating music that felt almost prophetic. Cairo knew this was the ultimate piece of evidence. If released, it would cement Carti's legacy as a visionary and reveal just how much the industry had attempted to suppress him. The stage was set for the ultimate showdown. Raw genius versus commercial machinery. As part two closed, the world watched with bated breath. Carti had returned, but the real battle was only beginning. Would the truth come out fully? Could Carti reclaim his legacy? And what role would Cairo, Lyra, and Echo play in reshaping the story? One thing was certain. In the war between innovation and exploitation, the stakes had never been higher and nobody would emerge unscathed. the tension had reached a boiling point. Atlanta's streets were buzzing, social media platforms were ablaze, and every corner of the music world was watching. Playboi Carti was no longer just an artist, he was a symbol of chaos, brilliance, and controversy. The leaks, the insider footage, and the whispers of manipulation had shifted the narrative. Genius versus disaster, control versus creativity. And at the eye of this storm stood Cairo, the mastermind behind exposing the truth, and Lyra, the insider who had risked everything to reveal the secrets of Carti's studio life. Carti had remained mostly silent, but his presence was felt everywhere. Fans dissected his cryptic social media posts, searching for clues, while critics continued their relentless coverage. But the real drama was about to hit: the unreleased tracks with Echo. The collaboration was unlike anything the public had ever heard: experimental, raw, chaotic, and hauntingly brilliant. Cairo knew this was the final piece of evidence that could rewrite Carti's legacy. The leaks began slowly. First, snippets of the tracks appeared on underground forums. Then short clips spread to YouTube, TikTok, and X. The sound was mesmerizing, distorted, melodic, unpredictable, a reflection of Carti's genius. Fans immediately recognized the difference between these raw tracks and the sanitized versions released by the labels. The contrast was stark, undeniable, and electrifying. As the clips circulated, Carti finally broke his silence. He posted a 45-second video, dimly lit studio, headphones askew, sweat glistening on his forehead. He didn't explain. He didn't defend himself. Instead, he stared into the camera and whispered, "They wanted a copy of me. I'm the original." The internet exploded. The line went viral instantly, trending worldwide. Memes, reaction videos, and editorials flooded every platform. Critics scrambled to analyze the footage. Fans turned it into a rallying cry. Carti had not only reclaimed part of his narrative, he had turned his silence into a weapon, but the industry wasn't ready to let go. Executives scrambled, PR teams fired back with carefully crafted statements, and mainstream media tried to discredit Cairo and Lyra's leaks. They called it conspiracy, fabricated drama, and misunderstood context. Yet the damage was done. Fans were no longer willing to blindly trust the labels. They demanded transparency, authenticity, and truth. In the midst of this chaos, Nova, the rising producer, released a statement of her own. She praised Carti's creativity and condemned the manipulation behind the scenes. "This isn't just music," she said. "This is genius being controlled, repackaged, and exploited. Carti isn't the problem, the system is." The drama reached its peak when Cairo leaked a full session of unreleased tracks. Each song told a story: frustration, defiance, and brilliance intertwined. The footage revealed Carti in his rawest state, experimenting with beats, melodies, and vocals that no one had heard before. Fans were stunned. Critics were forced to acknowledge the complexity and depth of Carti's artistry. This was no longer a debate about chaos or failure, this was a revelation of unfiltered genius. Then came the confrontation. A live stream Q&A event, hosted by a popular hip-hop platform, brought Carti, Cairo, and Lyra together all under one virtual roof. Questions poured in about leaked tracks, industry manipulation, and Carti's reputation. Carti remained calm, enigmatic, and occasionally cryptic, but his words carried weight. "I don't make music for approval. I make it for truth. If people don't get it, they weren't supposed to." Cairo leaned forward, addressing both Carti and the audience. "The world deserves to see what really happened. Labels tried to control, rewrite, and erase. But genius can't be contained." Lyra added quietly but firmly, "We documented everything. The truth was always there. The world just needed to see it." The response was electric. Fans flooded the chat with support, praising Carti's resilience and Cairo's courage. Critics could no longer dismiss the leaks as exaggerated, the evidence was undeniable. The story had shifted from scandal to redemption, from chaos to revelation, but the drama wasn't over. Carti, feeling the pressure and exhilaration of the moment, made a bold decision. He announced a surprise album drop, featuring the unreleased tracks with Echo, a project entirely outside label control. The announcement sent shockwaves through the music world. Fans went wild, streaming platforms crashed, and the internet erupted with excitement. In the days leading up to the release, snippets of the album leaked, fueling speculation, debates, and fan theories. Each track was dissected online: lyrical meaning, production quality, hidden messages. Fans were not just listening, they were analyzing, theorizing, and celebrating Carti's artistry like never before. The narrative had completely flipped. Carti was no longer under scrutiny, he was leading a movement. As the album dropped, the world experienced Carti in his rawest form. Experimental, chaotic, emotional, brilliant. The tracks were a journey through frustration, triumph, and defiance. The artistry was undeniable. Critics praised the album, calling it revelation, a masterpiece, and the sound of genius reclaiming its throne. Fans erupted with joy, streaming and sharing the music globally. Carti had emerged victorious not because he had appeased critics, but because he had remained true to himself. Part 3 closed with a powerful visual. Carti standing alone in the studio. Lights dimmed, headphones on, sweat glistening, a smirk on his face. Behind him, a wall covered in handwritten lyrics and unfinished tracks. The screen behind him displayed one simple message: genius can't be contained. The storm had reached its climax. Carti had faced chaos, criticism, and control and emerged as a symbol of artistic defiance. But one thing was clear: the final act, the resolution, and the ultimate verdict of genius versus disaster were still to come. The world waited, captivated, knowing that the conclusion would change the story of hip-hop forever. The tension had reached its peak. Playboi Carti had survived leaks, criticism, and label manipulation. The unreleased tracks with Echo were now streaming worldwide, and fans were obsessed. But this was not just about music anymore. This was a war for legacy, reputation, and artistic freedom. The world waited for the final move. Cairo and Lyra had compiled every last piece of evidence: studio sessions, unreleased verses, insider testimonies, and footage of label executives orchestrating chaos. The files were explosive, damning, and undeniable. Social media was ablaze. Every hip-hop outlet, podcast, and influencer debated one question: was Carti a misunderstood genius, or had he truly become the biggest disaster in music? Carti, however, remained enigmatic. No press conferences, no interviews, just cryptic posts hinting at something monumental. Then, the moment came. In a surprise live-streamed concert, Carti emerged on stage like a force of nature. The lights dimmed, and the opening track, one of the leaked, raw, and released songs, dropped. The crowd erupted. The sound was chaotic, experimental, and hauntingly brilliant. Every beat, every distorted vocal, every ad-lib screamed authenticity. As the performance reached its climax, Carti stopped mid-song and addressed the crowd. "I wasn't made for charts. I wasn't made for labels. I was made to create. And if that makes me chaos, so be it." The crowd roared. Fans chanted his name. Even critics paused, realizing they had witnessed something unprecedented. The performance became a statement, a manifesto, a declaration of artistic freedom. Meanwhile, Cairo streamed the behind-the-scenes leaks in real time, showing the contrast between Carti's genius and the label's sanitized versions. Lyra narrated over the clips, explaining the manipulations, the delays, and the attempts to erase Carti's creativity. The footage went viral instantly. Hashtags like #Carti Unleashed and #Genius versus Disaster dominated worldwide trends. Carti's former collaborators began speaking out too. Nova, Maya, and even Echo praised Carti's resilience, shedding light on the artistry that had been buried beneath corporate interference. The narrative had shifted completely. Carti was no longer a problematic artist, he was a symbol of resistance, innovation, and authenticity. By the finale of the live stream, Carti delivered a jaw-dropping moment. A completely new track, unheard by anyone, a sonic journey through his career, his struggles, and his vision for the future. Fans were spellbound. Critics were silenced. The message was clear. Carti's genius could not be contained, copied, or controlled. And then came the CTA moment, seamlessly embedded in the drama. "This is only the beginning," Carti whispered to the camera. "If you believe in music that tells the truth, if you believe in artists who refuse to be silenced, then join us. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and be part of this movement. Comment below genius or disaster. Your voice matters. This isn't just my story, it's ours." The stream ended with a cinematic shot. Carti standing alone on the stage, lights flashing, smoke curling around him, and the words "genius cannot be contained" projected behind. Fans across the world shared clips, created reaction videos, and flooded forums. The debate would continue. But one truth was undeniable: Carti had reclaimed his narrative, reshaped his legacy, and set a precedent for every artist who had ever been silenced. The final image lingered. Carti walking off stage, headphones around his neck, smirk on his face, and a city of fans chanting his name. Cairo and Lyra watched from the shadows, knowing they had played their part in revealing the full story. The labels, for the first time, had no control. The chaos had become art. The disaster had become legend. And as the credits rolled over the final frame, one last message appeared for the audience. Subscribe now. Witness the revolution. Decide for yourself. Genius or disaster. The screen faded to black. The world was left buzzing. The story of Playboi Carti, the genius, the chaos, the legend was complete. For now.